Now we are joined by Democratic Congressman Raj Krishnamoorthi. He's a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Thank you, Congressman, for joining us this morning. I don't know the extent of which you might have heard our conversation with Ranking Member Smith, but I want to continue and jump off of that. And we've done a lot of analysis and questioning around how the ousting of Maduro fits and squares into the Trump administration's strategy and political strategy and the Make America Great Again ethos. But I'm wondering how you think it squares when you take a 30,000-foot step back into the Democratic Party platform. There are some members, a handful, whose statements have read as slightly permissive of what the administration has done. At this point, Maduro's gone. The country could descend into complete chaos, causing great instability in the region. One, how would you characterize the party's attitude towards nation building? And two, do you want, and do other members, Democratic members at this point, want this transition to succeed?
Well, we want to transition, but we don't want to occupy the country. I have not met a single person, whether it's a Democrat or even a Republican, that wants to run Venezuela. None of my constituents do. And I think that's why a war powers resolution is absolutely necessary right now to debate. If the Republicans really want to defend occupying and running Venezuela, they should come to the American people and make their case clear. I think the second issue that I keep hearing about is we're just emboldening our adversaries, whether in Beijing or in Moscow, to basically do the same, whether in Taiwan or Ukraine, again, lowering our national security. And the third big concern that I hear repeatedly is, nobody wants to get into an occupation, in part because it's going to cost trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, and it's going to basically take away resources from the pressing domestic agenda of helping Americans who are facing a horrible economy here at home.
Congressman, really quickly, I want to get back to Jackie's question. For you, was the taking of the leader of Venezuela a good thing, yes or no, really quickly, and then I'll get to my other question.
Well, I think that no one's shedding tears. I'm not for him being brought to justice.
Take
but
that as a yes.
On the way in which he was spirited away and the incursion is a brazen illegal act.
Okay. One of the things, and we've been following, our team has been following Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio on ABC, and he just said elections in Venezuela are premature. It is very unclear to me what the plan is for them when they say they're going to run the country, for the partners that they're going to have to help run that country, whether that is going to be Delcy Rodriguez, who seems to be saying she doesn't want it to be her, or the opposition, who Donald Trump said is too weak and doesn't have enough support in the country. The haphazardness feels like a place in which, as we move forward, Republicans even might have a lot of questions. How are you as Democrats going to force them to ask their friends in the White House about these things?
Well, I think that they're already asking. As you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene issued scathing statements along with Mr. Massey and others. And I think that there are already kind of these at least private doubts that people have. The question is whether they'll be willing to say them publicly. And we need to help surface that, again, through bringing this war powers resolution to bear, but also in the appropriations process. Remember, we have to fund any kind of occupation or quote unquote running of the country. And this will be the opportunity in part to get answers to some serious questions, such as how many troops are already in Venezuela? How long will they be there? How much will it cost? And how many lives will be lost and treasure lost as well?
But Congressman, do you really believe that the Trump administration cares about a war powers resolution or measure from Congress, even if it were to pass the House and the Senate? Why should the American people believe that this administration is going to respect that? They haven't respected Congress's role for this entire 11 months.
Well, remember what happened with the Epstein files. I think that there's a...
Yeah, and they missed the deadline.
They missed the deadline, but at the same time, It's one of those things where action has been taken. It's starting. And I think that we in Congress have to raise our voice on this particular issue. We can't stay silent. Doing nothing is not an option. And so right now, we have to raise our voice and make sure that the administration is held accountable for what's happened in Venezuela.
Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, thank you so much for joining us this morning.